Welcome to The Clean Slate with your hosts, Daniel Garza and Carson Phillips, providing you with movie news, reviews, and more. Sit back, relax, and don't forget to go to the concessions to get your popcorn and drinks. For your entertainment, this is The Clean Slate Podcast.
Welcome back to the Clean Slate Podcast. My name is Carson Phillips. That guy over there is Daniel Garza, and the rumors of me leaving this podcast were greatly exaggerated.
Oh, yeah, that too.
But yeah, so we're back with another review. For the month of January, we are watching basically like newer movies that came out in 2024.
Yeah.
And today we watched Wild Robot. Yeah, movies we missed.
Yep. All right, guys. So, yeah, like Carson said, we watched Wild Robot, and here is the logline for that. After a shipwreck, an intelligent robot called Roz is stranded on an uninhabited island. To survive the harsh environment, Roz bonds with the island's animals and cares for an orphaned baby goose. Do you want to do the rundown, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I can do the rundown.
All right, sweet.
So for those of you that don't know, the plot of Wild Robot is, it's very simple, and I know there was a book series that was very popular. There's 3 books, so I'm hoping we get 2 more movies based off of the success of this film and my own personal enjoyment.
Yeah.
But the initial story for this first one is that, oh my gosh, my VHS tape is rewinding. Hang on. Yeah, so the basic rundown of this film is there is this robot who she is clearly not supposed to land where she does, but she lands in like kind of this wilderness area. Yeah. And one thing leads to another through misunderstandings with the animal population and stuff like that. She ends up accidentally harming or killing, I guess, this little bird's family. And he ends up actually being saved in this situation, though, because he was like the runt of the litter, so to speak. So he's a much smaller bird, but she ends up having to take responsibility with him and kind of raise him alongside this fox who would much rather eat the bird. And it's kind of like this, like, I guess, adopted family of sorts, and they have to deal with, being different species. Also the fact that this robot isn't really supposed to be here. What's that about? And the impending doom of winter is coming. So if this bird doesn't leave, he will likely die due to the winter. So there's a lot going on here, and yeah, it is a kids movie, but it has a lot of layers to it, emotional complexities. Like, be prepared to cry. I cried. Yeah, so same. It's one of those movies for sure. Like, it's amazing though. It's a DreamWorks film, so great animation. It looks visually stunning, and yeah, I guess I'm already kind of getting into likes. But,
okay, before we get into likes and dislikes, really good cast here. Actually, it's we got Lupita Nyong'o, which I don't know if I said her name right because I kind of said it in a Spanish way. But
yeah, her first name, that's right. I have no idea about the last name.
Anyway, so she plays Roz, but you might know her from Black Panther as Nakia, and she's in Us as well. So she plays Roz, and then we got Pedro Pascal who plays Fink, who is the fox, and then we got Ving Rhames, which he's really big in those Mission Impossible movies. He's got that strong, deep voice. And then Mark Hamill playing the bear is pretty cool.
He does a lot of voice acting, so it's cool.
Yeah.
Him within this cast is really great, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, but this movie did really well. I didn't know if this movie was going to be received too well. And to be fair, we just watched it and it came out a couple months ago. But overall, the movie's budget was $78 million. And then opening weekend, $35 million. So pretty strong opening weekend. Not the best, but, it has some traction behind there. And then 143 million gross in U.S. and Canada. So already making its money back. And then gross worldwide, $324 million. So this movie has had some pretty good success to it. So
it's got legs.
Yeah, it definitely has some legs. So I actually I make a decision if I want to purchase a movie after I've watched it the first time. Sometimes I'll watch it because I'm like, I just want to have this movie. No, but I'm going to. Like, once it goes on sale, I'm immediately going to buy this movie because it's just that good. I think it was such a refreshing story. It has a lot of classic themes that we kind of grew up with. And I think
Iron Giant vibes a little bit.
Yeah, Iron Giant. So I really kind of got the feel of Iron Giant, WALL-E, and Good Dinosaur. Like, if you smash all those movies together.
Good Dinosaur was good.
Okay, do not come for Good Dinosaur. That is one of my favorite movies.
What?
We should watch
need to
Good
talk about
Dinosaur.
this. Yeah, and I can like say how bad it is.
Okay, that's fine. Anyway, so yeah, this movie is pretty good, and let's talk about our likes and dislikes now. So, Carson, do you want to start off with likes and dislikes?
Yeah, I guess starting out, I thought the animation in this is absolutely wonderful. It's almost like painted kind of look to it.
Yeah.
I know it's computer. I'm pretty sure it's computer animation. I don't think it's hand drawn.
Yeah.
But it looks like really like whimsical, and the color palette is also like very pleasant to the eyes. And then they add in that wonderful score throughout that's kind of like melancholy, but also still has like the energy you need to tell a kid's film, a kid's story. So it almost reminded me of like Studio Ghibli in that sense, where it has like this whimsical, beautiful kind of vibe with a very heartfelt story. Like this story, yeah, we've seen similar stories, but
Yeah,
like
for sure.
the way they tell it is well done. Like they don't hold out on anything. Like they do it everything to the like perfect almost. And it doesn't have all the typical like stupid humor that you expect from kids movies these days. Like it's not like Minions, you know. And like
Yeah.
as much as Minions are great, obviously, but this doesn't have that dumb fart humor and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Which there's a place for that, but this is something that like watching this as a kid, you're gonna learn something, in my opinion. And then also the voice cast does a great job. I actually was kind of surprised with Pedro in this because he kind of plays the same character in everything lately, I feel like. But in this, he's kind of playing a more cocky, more full of himself, but fun character. And I don't know if I really get that from him in a lot of his recent roles. Well, I get maybe some of them, but like it seems like he's having a lot more fun in this role as this mischievous fox than he is in a lot of his other more recent stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Pretty good. I agree with what you're saying. I think the biggest thing for me, I'm a big story guy. So the themes and symbolisms here, there's so many to like grasp onto, like the nature of motherhood, you know, putting aside differences to survive and become one. Overcoming like complications, like, right, you see it in a lot of different things. Obviously we know Roz is a robot and she's programmed to complete tasks, but if there's no task available, she has to improvise. So it's almost kind of getting a theme of like sometimes
Like learning to be a
improvisation.
parent.
Yeah, exactly. Like sometimes improvisation is necessary. And then you got like the overcoming for what was the goose's name? Brightbill. Brightbill, he's born a runt, and the whole
He's much
survival
smaller.
aspect is going to be huge for him if he can't figure out how to fly and go south for the winter. So there's a lot of good themes in here, a lot of good symbolism, and I think that was just like the perfect like story built for there to be even bigger story, as well as like the small tiny story that kind of like we can all
The world building
attach to.
is very good in this. The
Yeah.
world building is excellent.
I was actually going to say a lot of times in writing you get an inciting incident after the world is built. But this movie, it's kind of the inciting incident happens the moment before the movie starts, and so you really don't know what happens till later on. So the inciting incident has already happened, but you're learning with Roz as she figures out the world. We're figuring it out too, and I think that was just such a smart way to play this.
Well, even this being like, I mean, this is a mild spoiler, so prepare. Being like kind of a post-apocalyptic kind of thing going on. Was kind of unexpected. I'm like, that's the Golden Gate Bridge underwater. Like, that's crazy.
Exactly.
So it's really interesting to see like how they crafted this science fiction world, but it's so grounded by these characters that feel like real characters. And then also, big fan of beavers, big fan of raccoons. They play a prominent role in this film, so I was very hyped whenever they showed up.
Very happy to see a good representation of the beavers and
Yeah,
raccoons.
that's what I need to see in theaters.
Anyway,
Did you cry?
I cried multiple times. When
Yeah,
he
me too.
is first doing his first flight, and that
Oh, so
hesitancy to say I love you and then like miss your mom, pretty much. I literally started getting so teary eyed, and then I cried at the end. So
I
it was a
cried,
good
yeah,
movie.
maybe like 3 or 4 times. That final scene, though, I'm not gonna spoil what happens. I was sobbing. I was like,
Oh my gosh, yeah, I had streamers on that one. It was a
was
good way to end it too.
dying. See, apparently, that doesn't happen in the first book. That happens at the beginning of the second book, and I was like, oh, I'm so glad they changed that because that would have been
Yeah.
an emotional wreck if they didn't.
Yeah, if
It
they
felt
left it the
hollow
way.
inside.
Yeah. So I think it was such a
good.
well put together movie. I mean, we can talk on and on about this, but I think also besides story, the second note is the animation in it is just so it's different, but it's the same. So it's kind of got this new freshness to it that I think was so positive, and it
Kind of
was
reminds
really
me of the
refreshing.
new Puss in Boots movie, animation style.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, maybe it's starting to catch on a little bit, but it was just beautiful, like all together. It was like a Bob
Yeah.
Ross painting. Okay, so let's go into likes. I mean, not likes, dislikes.
Dislikes?
Yeah.
I don't really have any dislikes. I don't want to say this is a perfect movie. 'Cause
It's pretty
not,
close.
but it's pretty darn close. I mean, I thought we had a very big like false ending and maybe a couple false endings in this movie that I don't know if I loved because I was like, is this movie still going? Like, and there was like way more movie left than I thought there was, and that's not a bad thing. It's just it took me out for a second because I felt like the movie was already over maybe 3 or 4 times in. But again, I wouldn't have. I think the way they did it is still fine. That's just a very minor complaint of mine. If I had to cherry pick or like find something wrong with it.
Yeah, that's actually so funny that you said that because that was going to be my big one is that I hate false endings and multiple false endings because it just
there's a lot.
it's kind of doing it for you know the more sorrow to add into the movie and sometimes it can be a crutch, so I think that they possibly use this one as a crutch. However, it
That's
doesn't
fair.
take away anything from the emotional like roller coaster that you're on in this movie. But I think it did hurt it just a little bit enough for me to notice it to where I'm like, okay, come on, like what are we doing here? Because I
almost-
immediately figured out the way that I could have ended this movie
Yeah.
with like maybe one false ending or just ended it in the way that it was designed to be, you know, like no false endings.
Yeah, I got you.
Again,
It almost
so-
felt like a book.
Yeah.
Because this is based on a book. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's where you'd have like part 2, like in the middle of the book or something.
Exactly.
That's what it almost felt like, a time jump or like something like that could have happened. Or I don't know. It just
I
felt
would say my
little off.
second, like in kind of added note to that false ending narrative. I think secondly, what does kind of hurt it is that the whole learning and world building and emotional relationship bonding is so
Yeah.
nice and beautiful, but that third act is so crammed together. Like you learn all about Roz and the world that's trying to take her back. You get the
There's a
fight
lot of
scene.
lore drops.
Yeah, there's just so much that's going on, and then Roz ends up, you know, making the decision that she does, and then you're like, wait, what? And so I would say that was kind of crammed together. It's not bad. It was just crammed. So
it
you
almost
you
could have been a
definitely-
longer movie.
Yeah,
in that
almost. Almost, yeah, make it 2 hours because I don't think it was even 2 hours.
Let the kids sit for 2 hours. That's
Yeah,
I will say something that kind of stood out, I guess, was like you're saying how they kind of seemed to put everything in together. There was a
Yeah.
lot of like traumatic scenes from the beginning of the movie
Mm.
that you're like, oh, it's a thing after another, like, and then there's not many quiet moments. So I kind
Yeah,
of think
that's true.
maybe a few more quiet moments, if they padded it out a little bit lengthwise, would have maybe sent it through the roof for me.
yeah.
But again, this is a movie made for children, primarily at least, so it's
I
kind of
mean-
hard to justify that, I guess.
Out of 5, I've been using Letterboxd now, so I'm kind of on the out of 5
Hey.
ratings. But
Welcome
out of
home.
5, what would you give this movie?
Bro. Okay, I didn't even think about what I'd rate it yet. I think I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
I'm gonna give it a 4.5 as well. It's
It's like-
such a good movie.
It's so good.
And it's worth a buy for me. So I think if a movie is worth a buy, then it's got to be 4 or higher. Like unless it's a
Oh,
crappy
yeah.
movie and you want to just like have fun with it. But like for me, that's I kind of hold a high standard to now what I buy on like my
Yeah.
Apple
As you should.
playlist. So
Here's the thing. I want them to make a second movie. I usually could care less about sequels lately,
yeah,
but I want this to have. I don't know where the story's going, but give
Yeah.
me 2 more movies. DreamWorks.
I would be curious to
really
see
want
it
them.
for sure, but I definitely think this is a solid run through and through, to where I don't know if it's necessary, but I think it'd be fun, for sure.
Yeah, I just gotta know, man. I gotta know.
Anyway, okay, cool, guys. Well, that is going to be The Wild Robot. Where can you watch this at? Oh, it's on. I think it's
Peacock.
a Renter or Peacock. Dang, I didn't realize it was on Peacock.
You might be able to catch it in theaters. I had to rent it because I canceled Peacock.
You did? You canceled our Peacock?
Yeah, it's gone, dude.
I hate you.
I haven't been using it.
Okay, that's fine. Michael still has his. I can use his.
If you want to split it,
If I want to split it, I'm going to split it without ads. But that's so expensive, especially since
That's
we're
so
playing
expensive.
for Opus.
and I'm still paying for Paramount Plus, which I like. I like Paramount Plus more than Peacock.
Oh, I see. I have Paramount Plus.
I have it on Apple TV too, which is nice. That interface.
Yeah,
Love
that's
it.
good. Anyway, okay, sorry, we're getting sidetracked here. Yeah, guys, you can go check it out on Peacock, or you can rent it, or if you're lucky enough, you can go still see it in
You
theaters.
probably can, yeah.
Yeah, but go check out this movie. So good it's a good family watch. It's very clean. It's actually really funny. There's no stupid humor like Carson said. So I think that's
Yeah.
what gives it the 4.5 clean slate approval. We got to come up with something like a clean slate approval
and it like
right there.
burns into the screen.
Yeah, like a certified
Can you do
fresh.
that?
We got to do like a certified
Can you
slate.
You need to work on that before
I'll
Friday.
I'll work on that. We just need to come up with it, an actual name. So TBD for that. But yeah,
Certified
guys,
clean.
we are going to be finishing up January with movies that we missed in 2024, and then we're like we've been saying, we're all the way slated till September on the
Yeah, we
movies
got a
that we're
lot
going to be
planned.
watching. So we are going to keep it nice and fresh around here on the podcast, as well as clips are coming your way. We've put some money behind some clips and potential sponsors that are coming to sponsor a couple of episodes. So
What?
yeah, Carson doesn't even know that yet. Well, you do. You probably
Whoa.
forgot though. Anyway, guys, but
Sure.
we will see you next week for another episode. Peace.
That's a clean slate.